for me. So I teach Qigong. I've been teaching Qigong. So my naturopathic world and my Qigong world kind of like came together from the very beginning. Actually, I got through naturopathic school by finding Qigong. I got Lyme disease in my sophomore year. And so this was like, all right, and my background, I was an exercise phys, so I used to just go to the gym and just beat myself up, and that was my release. And then all of a sudden, couldn't do that, Lyme disease gets in the way. Learn Qigong. So there's a form, we'll kind of play with healing Qigong, it's just done in a chair. The reason I bring this up is, it's a very spatial thing, Qigong, right? And so we're all sitting together, just like your arms are like this, right? But there's many orientations on how you can make your arms not touch, and some are on most people are in that way. Play with your spatial orientation. Think of yourself as an airhead, right? And so when I teach my classes, it's like I've had to learn how not to get the chairs to be organized and kind of let go of it. That's my one thing. So this is very ironic. But life seems to be ironic, and actually is. And then all day long, I don't know if you guys have this experience too, I listen. Most of my day is listening, right? And I study so that when someone walks into my office, I can listen to them and then use my skills, right? And that's kind of how I set up my day. So like I never rethink what I'm going to say before they walk in. I actually don't want to know what I'm going to say before they walk in. So I kind of live my life like that, well too, to be honest. And that's how this lecture, I've given this lecture 20 times in my head. 5 real times, but 20 times in my head, because I'm waiting for the feedback. And I'm very excited to sit around people that are naturopaths or into the naturopathic profession. And I do want this to be somewhat interactive. So if there's something you can add, I'm going to pose some questions. I'm going to invoke some feelings. I'm going to try to stimulate some collaborative work. In my practice, we hold a circle every week, and we sit around and we create spaces where people can share. We can do some more spaces over here. So people can share how they're feeling. And no one's right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. But there is collaborative knowledge. I think more than one head, one more thought is more powerful. So, but I will lead, just to make sure that everyone's going on. So, you can eat too. It might be hard later, but in the beginning, eating is fine. So,
did you want to start it? You don't. It's quite early, 10:23. What would you prefer, Dr. Romano? Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have time. Just setting the tone. Has anyone taken Qigong class? I know you have. Anybody else in the room? Okay.
Dr. Z taught us a little in school.
Dr. Z and Qigong, yes. Yeah. I'd sometimes come in for the mind-body, and I love Dr. Z. You know, the Dr. Z of 2002 is different than the Dr. Z of later years.
Yeah.
But I love Dr. Z. But we'd be doing Qigong. There's a guy, Harry Adelson. Did anyone ever hear his name? So this is, the first class graduated 2001, right? So 25 years ago, right? Which is we should celebrate that. That's kind of why we're here, right? So Harry Adelson, you'll find him, he does injections in Utah. He does stem cell injections. He's been on David Asprey's show. And so he was one of our teachers. And he would do Qigong because he was a climber. And we'd be in class, or we'd be ready if we were seeing patients, and we'd all be doing some kind of Qigong. And Dr. Z would walk in, maybe he was eating a sandwich, he'd drop it, and just go right into the Qigong state. He was so open-minded and easy. It was kind of funny. So he's very adaptable, Dr. Z. So. So we talked about Ginger Nash already, and Harry Addison, Dr. Z. Do you want to join the circle? There's a seat there too.
Right brain stuff here, huh?
I think that's
Are there more chairs? There's space for another chair.
Online or just whatever.
Can you put your chair here?
There's at least one more person coming, so I don't know if there was more chairs.
I think that there are a couple people.
I think there's going to be a couple
Yeah,
more.
here yet, so we need more chairs if possible.
Should we get,
So if you go like this angle right there,
let me,
just like
probably have another one over here.
Chairs. I'm happy to.
Yeah, I think a few more people.
Yeah.
any other UB shares we were to bring up we could record with again? Reminiscing?
Qigong with tea.
Tim Regan.
I thought I was late too. Yeah, but there's definitely more chairs.
Yeah, Tim Regan works in my office.
Yeah, we had a year of one was called
The chairs are on the way.
Acupuncture school or?
Yeah.
Or
3 chairs.
More chairs, and he taught the basic course
we can put chairs here.
Chairs to come.
Yeah, they're bringing.
This is a good problem, right?
Yes, it is.
SRO, standing room only.
Good stand, I was prepared to know.
More chairs are coming.
There's also floor space.
Did I just do it?
Oh, right.
It's the tree.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So in the first couple classes at UB, so my first semester, I met Carmen Idonis in the back there. We walked in together. We went to our orientation,
What's Mary up to?
and at the end of the orientation, we were told that Dr. Sensenakis was leaving. I'm like, oh, that was interesting, right? And so then from there, like, it was kind of a threw us off, but we bonded together. There was only 8 of us in the second class. It was interesting. It was it 10? No, it would have been 8. It was
7 guys, 1 girl.
7 guys, 1 girl.
Well, that would change.
Switch
Time
that
went on,
Yeah, 7 guys, 1 girl. There was a class in front of us. They had 16. They were more balanced. We were in the second class. But like, oh, we really liked Dr. Sensen. I mean, he came back and he taught classes for us, and it was pretty amazing. But there was one class we didn't get. The physician healed himself. And that's when Dr. O'Connor, Eddie O'Connor, who went to Quinn and back later, we'd go talk to him. We had lunch with him every day because we sat and ate our lunch while he was in the office. And he was our dean. We're like, hey, Ed, we're not getting this class, man. We need a class. We need this physician heal yourself. So he's a pretty resilient guy. So he found a guy at UB, I forget his name, but I ended up seeing people who saw him, who taught Qigong. Well, he didn't call it that, but he taught Qigong. So so like, all right, we'll do it. So we all met in this room, and he started talking to us, and he turned the lights off, and he walked around. And so I'm from Pittsburgh. Background's exercise physiology. I had never met a naturopath before I went to naturopath school. It just sounded good. It sounded better than chiropractic. It was like, I wanted to be a chiropractor, but I didn't know about this. It sounds pretty good, so I'm gonna give it a try. Right? So we're sitting in this room, it's dark, and this guy's walking around, and he's activating this. So you're just sitting there, and he's like, close your eyes, remember the card? And he went like this. And you're sitting there, like, all right, is this what naturopathy is? Right? This is what it's going to be like. So we sit in this class, and he activates all these people, and then the next time we meet, he tells us that we can just stand and whatever you feel inside, you move, right? So it's called spontaneous Qigong. So every morning, and we were pretty good students, we'd wake up and we just listen to our bodies. And we would move, right? And then we met together, and it was pretty interesting. Like some people couldn't digest milk anymore. Some people couldn't sleep. Some people had like arm interesting movements, right? This did happen, right, Carmen? This did happen. But sometimes I would go back and that would happen. And it just, then that like the class was over and we're like, act like everything's normal. So from there, I'm like, you know, I kind of like what we just did. Kind of felt different than working out. It gave me permission to feel my body. It's like, that's a pretty cool thing. Can I start?
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Nina Manapon, a member of the Summit Planning Committee and your breakout session host. I'm very excited for this year's lineup. Our presenter, Dr. Mark Romano, is a licensed naturopathic doctor who masterfully blends the precision of Western clinical science with the profound time-tested wisdom of Eastern healing traditions. With a specialized background in human kinesiology and acupuncture, he brings a deep understanding of how energy and physical form interact to create health. Dr. Romano's clinical focus is helping those navigating chronic illness, fatigue, and anxiety to move from a state of disconnection toward clarity, coherence, and self-trust. And he utilizes a unique toolkit that includes biotherapeutic drainage, holistic bodywork, and the gentle but powerful practice of Sheng Zhen Qigong. As a certified Sheng Zhen meditation teacher, he guides individuals in reconnecting with their inner rhythms, using mind-body medicine to foster physiological and emotional resilience. Welcome, Dr. Romano.
And so from that place of like giving permission for me to feel my own body and to like look into what was called Qigong during Naturopathic school, I was lucky enough to live in a carriage house in Reading on 90 acres. So each morning my dog and I would go for a walk, and I had read that you should meditate with a tree, and you should do it for 1 year. And I was like, I have a year. And I walk in. So I meditated with this tree, and there was different ways to do it. You could stand with it, you could hold with it, but it was the same tree every day. Right? You know, and every day is an amazing thing because every day the temperature is a little different, the sun's a little different. Like you're feeling different, your dog's different. There's different animals, there's different things, and the tree has this like rooted sameness, right, and difference. So what I learned meditating with tree is that trees can hold grief more than me. Because trees have seen so many life cycles. Trees have seen so much change that they could embody that. And at the end of the year, I was a little depressed. But in a depressed kind of grieving kind of like, oh, life has ups and downs and cycles. Life has loss and beginnings. So like, it kind of set a tone. So from that, I've learned other forms of Qigong. I've done different things, and we'll go through that today. But that had an impact on how I kind of oriented myself. Later on, in the drainage world, when we were in school, we were kind of part of the drainage kind of learning. Dr. Gagnon, people were going to find the Dr. Gagnon teachings, and then there was Michael Adams, and then Ginger Nash and Harry Adelson came over from Oregon, and they were teaching us too. And I think I shared this with some of you already. Michael Adams, who I kind of had an affinity for back then, he said to treat homeopathically, because in naturopathic school, it was interesting. Some people do really well with homeopathy, right? And some people would not. We had Dr. Fine. I don't know if you guys had Dr. Fine or anyone had Dr. Fine. Yeah. So Dr. Fine was a classical homeopathic, and we would sit in clinic like 3 hours with one patient and take the most in-depth health history, and then just get one remedy. And it was like, wow, right? So then there was him, and then there was the drainage teachings, right? So your organ systems, things like that. And I was like, all right, I kind of want to see some change before I get out of clinic. So Michael Adams says you can treat homeopathically But if you do, you have to activate the pineal gland, right? And so I love that we're talking about circadian rhythms in this conference. We're talking about rhythm and cycles and things. It seems like it's really kind of coming up. I wrote my dissertation or doctoral thesis over a naturopathic paper on melatonin, psychiatric, and metastatic disorders. So there is something, if you can locate yourself in space and time, right? That could be the pineal gland, right? Kind of you can help someone, but if they're not located enough, homeopathy doesn't seem to make an imprint. I've learned later, like some people, acupuncture is amazing. Some people, not so much. So what is the difference, I guess, is the question. So then today's talk, that's breathing the trees, a lot of words, and then there's grief, right? So the grief word, right? So what is grief, I guess? And after COVID, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced grief. I've learned in my 20 years of practicing, going through life cycles with people, they're usually coming in when something changed, something was taken away, something was missing, something they no longer had, right? And so, does everyone know about attachment theory or has heard of attachment theory? Yeah. So in grief, there's an attachment problem, right? And the first response to loss should be protest, right? We have to acknowledge that something's not the same, right? And so like that little kid that's waiting for maybe a hug or to be picked up and he doesn't get it, if he doesn't get angry or she doesn't get angry, if she doesn't have that protest, the energy just gets stuck, right? So we need to invoke that sense of protest or allow that sense. Like when you feel safe enough, I have 3 daughters, and like I love that they're strong because I know they believe they can share their strength in their voice, right? So giving someone an opportunity to like just release how they're feeling, that would be the protest. From protest, we move into despair, right? And that sounds hard, right? Harsh, hard, right? But to go into despair, you also need to know that people can hold space for you, right? That you can just like wail or cry or let go. And only after that, letting go, can you go into integration and healing, right? And so that's something that's been in and out of my practice. I mean, I you know, like, what do I don't know if anyone has existential crisis every once in a while, like, what am I actually doing, right? It's like, what's the common thread of my practice? Like, what's the commonality? And I have to say, it is about loss and like remodeling and changing. And I believe as naturopaths, we're in a great position to help people with that. Because we're starting to like, the mind-body continuum it's not a question anymore. It's like, it is the same thing. So, okay, that's my little bring you to the room stuff. Okay, so what I'd like to do, since we're all seated, we're going to do a form of, so it's Sheng Zhen Qigong. Sheng Zhen means, you know, the thing that I'm learning, maybe other people are learning, that there's TCM, there's CCM, and then there's Chinese people that understand English, the nuance, that read the classics, and they can talk about Freud and Jung, and also understand Chinese philosophy. So it has a deeper breadth to it. So Sheng Zhen means sacred truth. It also means unconditional love. But it's also the embodiment of the felt sense of interbeing. Say that again. The embodiment of the felt sense of interbeing. That connection, that we're all part of something, right? And that creates a container for us all to feel safe in. Right? Once we acknowledge that, little kids know that innately until that's broken. So that's what this, and that's kind of like in directions. But let's do something first. Okay? So come to the front of your chair. So find your feet, find your heel, find the outside rear little toe a little bit in, and the big toe pad. Right? So there's a tripod. Once that tripod is activated and feels secure, you might and search for the bubbling well, the center of the foot, the arch. Just let that happen. Then feel the top of the head. Powerful group, good. Okay, so we're gonna do a little ceremony. It's one of the first things that you do in the Sheng Zhen practice. You bring your hands out in front. So we're gonna use our breath, which is a symbol of consciousness. We'll blow into our hands. So your right hand, which symbolizes earth, drops below your navel. Your left hand, which connects to sky, heaven, comes to your forehead. So imagine bringing the light down through the Chong Mai, the center meridian, down through the head, down through the heart, down to the belly center, to the Dantian. At the bottom, the left hand rests over the right, and the thumbs touch. It's called the tranquil hand position. So the three hearts become one. It's called the union of three hearts. I also want to shout out to Greg Kelly, who brought heart math to UB early on. He was a great teacher. Is a great teacher. Focus on the belly center, focus on your feet, and let your hands come to your knees. So we're going to do a form that's called Listening to the Heart. It has 10 movements. The first 7 connect with what's called the spirit of the lungs, the Po. The last 3 connect to the spirit of the liver, the Hum. Right? And I'll explain a little bit. But the felt sense is the most important. So, right, so hands on your knees, feel your feet, feel the top of your head. Right? So first movement, beginnings and endings return to heaven. So arms float up, arms face you. Okay, the elbows are down, chest is up. Focus on clavicle. Kidney 27. So we're focusing on the idea of a life cycle, that there's a beginning and ending. There's a beginning and end to the day, to the month, to the year, to a life. We're acknowledging the cycles. And in that, we're coming to the present moment. Second movement, arms go above the head. Palms face the center of the head. Feel the thumb pad. After coming into the present moment, let things arise. Let your breath go bigger, smaller, softer, whatever's needed. Tune into your breath. Very nice. Then bring your fingers together. Come down to the heart center. This is a symbol of equipoise. Is like a compass, locates you in space and time. Come back to the present moment. Hands come forward. We can do this. This one is attaining pure consciousness. Let go of how you think things should be, but allow yourself to feel the tension on the way you wanted them to be. So your arms are going to come down, and just whatever feels comfortable, whatever the room allows. Just bow your head and lift your arms. So we're surrendering our senses and just resting in the heart. Letting go of how we think things should be. Letting go of what happened. And then slowly roll up your spine. It's okay if you touch your neighbor. And start here. And then orientate. This is part of the class. Try to find a way you can open your arms and still maintain friendships. This movement's called fulfillment. So only when we let go of how things should be, not only, but it helps. Take in what is. Think of a small baby laying on bed with its arms wide open, trusting its environment, trusting the love that it will receive. And then bring your arms up. So concentrate that energy, direct it, and let it pour into your dantian. Build the dantian. Build your physical presence. And then bring your hands down. And we make the 8-petal lotus, secret chamber of the heart. So you have your right side and you have your left side. The right side is the west. It's the future. What's to come. So everyone turn your head, your nose to your right side. So imagine looking out into the future. But you know something's changed. Acknowledge that absence, that change. Maybe a person. Future self. All together. And then we're going to slowly turn to our left. As you turn, imagine reviewing all the happenings, all the feelings, the experiences that led you believing that was how the future would go. Look over your left shoulder. Left is the east. So you turn back to your original state. Remember who you are, why you're here. And then slowly with that remembering, come back and turn back to the west or to the right. Integrating. And bring your head back to the center. Now we cleanse the hum. Bring the arms up and above your head. Just do the best you can. There's the position, the path of the body. There's the rhythm, and there's the essence. This movement is called walking to the center of heaven. So with effort, the efforts you take daily with your body develop neuroplasticity, new habits. There's a trying. And then bring your hands together. This is the other friendship thing. Bring your left arm back and your right hand on top of your head. This is a colorful one. We're going to flutter. It's called stirring the clouds. Imagine releasing all the fog, all the old ideas that are getting in the way. And then slowly come back. We're going to change sides as you're doing breathing. Right hand down, left hand up. Flutter. And bring your right arm up. Just for a moment, look at your index finger. Imagine finding a direction, following your will, aligning with your heart, and going in that direction. Take your right hand, place it on your left, and come down. When you finish, again, this is the direction I want to come to the right side of your navel, and then down the left. Just how your colon flows, right along like that. This is, the heart becomes clear like water, all the residue is releasing. We're grounding back into our Dansana, back into our feet. Let's come back to the center. Read something. Just a little thought. Grief begins as protest. When the Po, tissues of the body, searches for what was lost. It moves into despair, with the nervous system recognizing the loss is real. But if breath deepens and the body reconnects with the living world, the Po reorganizes, and belonging returns in a larger form. Just let that sit. I'm very grateful. I love being a naturopath. Carmen's my buddy back there, and we used to always say we couldn't be superheroes, so we became naturopaths. That's the closest job description. Right, so that's kind of like the embodied feeling that I've been kind of playing with for a little while, and there's many orientations around that. But the grief thing has been really kind of residue. There's a lot of residue in my system. So I have to share. Let me share my slides. So, and I do want this to be collaborative. I just feel like there's so many smart people in this room. So if anything to add, anything to share, please do. I feel like it's going to amplify the knowledge. So, does anyone, how did everyone feel with the Qigong? Okay. Was that good? Have you guys heard of the spirits of the organs? Is that something that you've been orienting around? Yeah. Okay. It's on the slides. We'll talk more about them.
And I don't know how the Hun relates to grief.
So Lisa Feldman-Barrett, does anyone know that name? How Emotions Are Made? Or 4E Cognition. What's really cool now, and again, I love, maybe I gave myself permission, but as a naturopath, I feel like I can look at neuroscience and I can look at Chinese, and I can say, there's something there. There's something that connects. And maybe that just gets me through the day, or it's true. I see the Hun as the imaginal realm. The imaginal realm. Imagination. Right? There's a quote, I think his name's Rollo Mayo. He said, despair is a failure in imagination. So when someone comes into our office and they're in pain, there's something going on. We are creating a story of an imagined future health. Right? So I don't know if you guys have had to deal with Joe Dispenza people. Right? There's some good truth in there, and he kind of, from like a little yang way of getting to the pineal gland. But hey, if that gets you there, just so we can talk about it, love it, right? But so we're creating a story of the future, and so that's where the hunt is. Our perception of how things are, right? That's always it's a great question, very leading. So this is what we just did. This is kind of the basis of setting, right? So we're gonna jump over that. Francis Weller. Has anyone heard of Francis Weller? Francis Weller has 5 stages of grief, or 5 states of grief, 5 that people experience. He was on CNN with, what's his name? White-haired guy.
Anderson.
And so, Francis Weller is a depth psychology youngest that kind of giving people permission to feel again the deeper feelings, because it's those deeper feelings, those deeper roots that actually bring up the other ones that we can start to work with. Right? So I love this quote: grief is a form of love that is stripped of its physical presence. What remains is the ache for connection, meaning and belonging. Right? Connection, meaning and belonging. And so I'm going to get into that, but connection, that's what we do, right? We connect people back to their guts. We connect people back to their environment. We connect people back to themselves, right? And then we do have to have a meaningful story, or they're not going to buy in, right? There's information everywhere, right? You can AI anything, right? So information will not save us, right? But meaningful stories about health and how to connect, we have a chance. So, The Absent Ordinary is a book, the second book that came out. He does like to talk about the long dark. It's a little morose, but there's some truth there. Right? So chronic illness is rising. Right? Trauma is common. Right? In 2000, we did not talk about trauma in naturopathic school very much. I was naive enough that when I started practicing, and I practiced in a gym, fitness center, I was going to be the wellness naturopath. I said, write down your 3 biggest traumas. Not that one lady, her husband was in 9/11. I mean, all the things that I found out, I was like, holy heck. Next year I moved in with a bunch of psychologists. I was like, I need help, man. This trauma stuff is like, I had no idea. Like, this was shiny, happy people of Westport, Connecticut, driving in Land Rovers and Mercedes. I'm like, they're killing it. And then they, like, what happened to you was a bigger story than I was actually used to acknowledging. So I had to like rebrand and reset. So, and then grief is, I feel like holding space for people to like heal. Grief is about what we do. And then post-certainty medicine, someone had already asked me. We have a trust problem in the world, right? So I have half my patients have ivermectin in their closet, hidden. They're ready. They don't know who to believe, right? But they're ready. They know how to get their own stuff, right? They have the guy, whatever. So we're like, it's all out there now that we're kind of dealing with. So we're like building connection, building trust is a big part of what we do. This whole talk is like a rah-rah for naturopaths. I don't know if you got that yet. 'Cause I don't get to see enough of you guys. This is a question, and what if unresolved grief has a physiological response to fibrosis? I don't know if Dr. Dion is here, if that's okay to say, but like what that lecture he gave for the Connecticut Society about fibrosis, like hit me pretty hard. I grew up also, or I guess naturopathically grew up with the blood type around us and how that fit. And so like looking at fibrosis differently is something that I just want to pose to you. And I don't have all the answers and know what I say I did, but maybe someone else has some thoughts on this too. So why trees? I mean, trees are a great story. I love trees. Trees kind of symbolize, like I said, they've been around longer than us. They're resilient. Can you see them? And they have roots. We can talk about microbiome. Just talk about this one. They have roots. We can talk about feet, like the parasympathetic, about the feet and how what good footing is like. The name of my practice is Barefoot Living Arts. End up just by happenstance bringing a PT who her aunt is like the famous ballerina PT. And foot health for the future, I mean, if you can't feel your feet, it's really a bad deal, right? If you can't walk, you can't stand. Like, we have an aging baby boomer population. Feet are not something we should take lightly. And then we have connective tissue. We're going to talk more about fascia. And so if you think of the metal element, it kind of fits into all of these. And then I'm trying to weave a lot of stuff together, right? But there is some compelling stuff out there. Lisa Feldman-Barrett, she's at Boston University, how she sees how the brain, how conscious is held in society and on ourselves and how we work with it. It does seem to fall back onto the spirits. So just for everyone that's maybe not as much into Chinese medicine, so the Shen connected with the heart, I guess you could say overall consciousness, right? It's that light that comes in. The Han we talked about, connected with the liver, the imagination and vision. So the imaginal realm. I was recently taught, I've taught the Han is like the soup, the collective unconscious soup that we're in, right? Some of my patients like this idea, some people don't like it. But we're all in soup right now, and we're all different vegetables, right? And we're all forming the broth. Right? So I don't have to meld into the broth, but I am feeling the other flavors in the broth. Okay? And to deny that is kind of to deny the experience of being in a room with air together. Like we learned it with COVID, right? The 3 feet, whatever, the mask, all this stuff. We're sharing space right now. Microbiome, all this stuff. So we're in the soup. The soup is here. Right? And then we have the Yi, and that's like, we have our Han, our imaginal realm, and then we have our Po, our body sensory, and those two things are informing our perspective. Right? So it's really hard to get people to change how they see things. So I gotta work backwards, deconstruct. Because I'm asking them to make life changes, right? So there's that. A little more about the Po. Connected to somatic intelligence. This is a painting from my aunt. She lives in she lives in Minnesota. Minnesota. Again, back to the metal element and how that shows up. Here's Lisa Feldman-Barrett. Emotions are not reactions to the world. They are constructions of the brain. So we're searching. And that kind of goes back to that protest. Even, sometimes animals are some of the first things people grieve, but they're not that big. But when they're not there, that searching for them, that acknowledging that there's that space, that's a hard thing sometimes to unwind, right? So we have this perception, or we have this idea of how things should be. And so we have to reimagine going home, and then my dog's not going to be there. Or I have to reimagine that, we talk, at least I do, I think we all do. We talk to people in our head, and then you realize I can't call them and find them. Right? They're not there. I know where my 3 daughters are now. Right? I know where they are. It's like a compass. Right? And so when the people we love, we can't find them, we have to reimagine what that means. You could say internalize it if you want to say that. Okay. And so back to the Po. Boundary, breath, capacity to release. And then, the fascia world goes in waves, 20, 15 years ago, maybe 10, I forget. was really, everyone was into fascia, and now like it's kind of coming back because we're getting more techniques on how to understand it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's alive. I'll say, right? It's not inert. It has viscosity. It has electricity. It has mechanoreceptors. Like it's right. But the question I always wondered was, why does one person, one needle, whole system lights up, and then another person, you're like, that's it? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's it? Right? Like, what happened? Right? What happened to that person? Or why is that experience different? I don't take it personally anymore. Hopefully none of you guys do either. I feel like it's like cooking. Some people just don't have the taste buds that other people have. It's like colors. I probably don't see all the colors that other people see. Like we all have different orientations, but there is there is a baseline. And I think that's where we can, when people aren't having that same sensory experience, there is a call for action, and maybe that is inflammation or grief that hasn't been actualized or released. It's kind of what I'm posing to you. This is the thing I need. It's fun to be creative with some things. I feel like this fits, I feel like that's what, so we're naturopaths, right? Or naturopaths, but I forget, East Coast, West Coast, do you guys remember which one's which? I forget. Right? But microbiome, right? It's real, that we can, everyone, it's part of the conversation. A lot of healthy people understand the importance of microbiome. The mitochondria, right? Mitochondria health, the Shen, the spirit, we know when someone has good Shen now, right? We can tell they have a lot of light in their field, a lot of light in their body, right? Fascia, I feel like we can still work on, right? How someone moves, how someone integrates. You hug someone, you can feel how they're feeling, or you can see how much they can relax into. So, Carmen will tell you I was a terrible hugger, right? Not that I hugged him, but somehow in the skull that I was still stiff, but I was a bodybuilder back in the day, and why would I release anything, right? And wasn't sure how this hugging thing, we didn't hug in Pittsburgh as much as naturopaths did. But anyways, I've had kids that have softened and life's happened, but you can feel someone in their tissue, how much they're holding and storing, right? Jen Krebs was in my class, and the Rosen technique, when there's all these things that are all of a sudden oh, there's consciousness in the tissue, right? It's it's an opportunity, things are real. So maybe we should start looking at inflammation as something that hasn't, right? The next turn we'll make is this is more of a question to you guys about Treg cells, and I talked to Kelly about a little bit too. But it's amazing because inflammation is a big part of what we do with and deal with, and that's probably the beginning of something that's wrong. It's in the Chinese medicine idea. It's in our health ideas of dealing with inflammation, and we know what happens if you stay in an inflammatory state. So the Treg cell idea, the T helper cells, right? I don't know I want you to see too, but the thymus gland, right? T is thymus. Thymus is heart, right? The T helper cells are deciding, is this body ready to go through this? Or should we hold it? Should we stay in this state and maintain, create possibly scar tissue or fibrotic tissue? Because we're not ready to feel this, right? So we have it at a cellular level. There's a decision making. When the body feels safe and there's a resonance of that safety, it will go through the inflammation cycle, and we can help that. But if it doesn't feel safe and it gets stuck in this fibrotic tissue, that's another problem to solve, right? I've had very healthy people recently, and strange autoimmune lung fibrosis or strange autoimmune diaphragm fibrosis, desmoid tumors. Do you guys know what a desmoid tumor is? It's like fibrotic tissue that never stopped in the inflammatory cycle. It just keeps building. It's not cancer, but it's kind of dumbed down fibrotic tissue that thinks it knows what to do. Right? So somehow detached from the immune system. So kind of saying, is this something that hasn't been worked out? Again, just posing questions. Little graph, the nervous system, immune system, and fascia. You see your dog walk across the yard. You know how your dog feels by how it moves. We know that movement has an orientation to feeling, right? And so, person, there's an idea of like how their immune system's doing, how their nervous system's doing. With those patients that had these like strange events, there was something that happened. 2 of them broke their wrist, and then had a fibrotic thing somewhere else a year later. I'm just saying, it's not saying they're correlated, but there's some, I'm not saying they're cause, but there's a correlation between something in the nervous system said something's wrong, and then something else kind of grew on its own. Right? So the connection between the nervous systems. And this what I found in this study, I could give it this one, how the trach cells, how they work, how too much, too little. So the trags are the green part. And we're looking for that balance. In my mind, that looks like the Taoist idea, or like equilibrium, how they hold that middle state of not being under or over responding to life. My practice is in Fairfield. I was in Westport. There's a lot of therapists. I see a lot of therapists as patients. I think talk therapy is amazing. I think the presence of the person doing the talk therapy is important. And I think the invitation, the embodiment of what they're going through, like the new habits, the new patterns are really important. I don't think we can talk people out of trauma, stress. We can resonate with them. We can create presence with them. We can teach them how to be with themselves through words, but just talking, I haven't, in my experience, felt like it's moved the needle enough. But maybe that there are some people in their practice that, as therapists, they have amazingly big hearts. As soon as you walk into the room, you feel their presence, and that kind of seems to soften it. So, but just want to add that in. And then I got a picture of Kelly in the woods. But come on, guys. Could be, right?
It could be. I didn't think I even have a shirt that color.
But yeah, trees. Trees are amazing, right? I mean, they just symbolize. When I moved from Pittsburgh to UB, I was feeling. There's amazing trees in Parkside. The park outside the place, but it was like a lot less trees on 95 than there was. And I was like, right, as long as there's a tree here, I think I can do this, right? So trees kind of have that symbol of oxygen, breath, resilience, just spending time. And there are some studies now, just touching a tree, there's a resonance that comes from it. I've taught a few Greek workshops called Breathing with Trees, and it just holds an environment that something's bigger than us, right? You're outside and there are like these big trees holding space. And it's like, we're gonna be okay. Like, look how big these trees are. We don't say that, but you feel it. You feel it in your bones that there's something bigger. And I guess that's like the main gist, is it create this unfinished relationship. So there's that protest, something's wrong, there's despair, like, how am I gonna move forward? And then we have to reconnect. We have to find another relationship, another way of relating to ourselves, usually, primarily, and others in our environment. And we can hold that space as people walk through this, right? Because that's where all the different symptoms and things come in my experience. And here's a little chart I made. I could send it to people, but and like it was fun making this because I was like, so much. But where do you stop and where do you begin? But like keeping it in the simpler place, with the fascia, the connective tissue, the breath, and the connection. And the body heals and remembers it belongs. And belonging is pretty important. I realize I didn't realize spelled the name wrong there, so that. Safety is a physical ground that allows both grief and love to move. Without safety, grief hardens into vigilance, and love contracts into unhealthy attachment or fear. That's me. So, that's the last one. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Romano. Does anybody have questions for Dr. Romano?
Do you do virtual teaching?
I should. I have. I really missed people when I stopped, and I probably should go back. Yeah. But, do we have questions?
You have 15 minutes.
So I thought we'd go through one more time, if that's okay, just so you guys can
Yes,
experience it.
very much.
So each of the movements has like a different orientation. So now that you kind of experienced them, I can explain a little deeper. So place your hands here. So then your arms come up and your palms face. Okay, so we're kind of the clavicle of the chest. And the question you're asking, something just happened, and like the question you're asking is, am I safe? Right, in this space. So this is your personal space also. And just orienting around that question. Your nervous system kind of realize you are. Find your feet. And the top of your head. And come back to yourself. You're safe right now. And then bring your hands above your head. Focus on the top of your head. Focus on your thumb pads. Change the This is called purifying the center of the heart. So the question is, where did they go? They're looking. There's a longing. Fingers together, come to your chest. So the question is, why did this happen to me? hands come forward, and then you drop down. Try to relax your neck. Try to rest in the back of your heart. And this is where we let our frustration release. It's a sense of letting go of denial that this happened. And then we come back to center. Again, so arms are a little wider. So we start to build bridges, connections. Ourselves flow back up. Imagine your hands are very big. Let your chest expand. Let your spirit soar. Become everything. Take that energy, bring it above your head. You can feel the chi between your hands. To come down to the top of the head into the dantian. Building your presence. Arms down, wrists together, little finger, thumb. Take a moment to feel the 8-petaled lotus, feel the center of the hand. So again, the right is the west, symbolically for this movement. So look to the right. Imagine extending your future self. And slowly turn your head back to the center and then to the left, reviewing, reframing, remembering all that was given, all that you received, all that was said, all that was heard, all that was felt. Internalize that. And take that felt sense with you as you turn back to the right. Deeper understanding of your position, purpose. Walk in a new orientation. And then look forward. Take the lotus, if you're ready. Bring it above your head. Sit here on the crown, so walking to the center of heaven. The effort one takes to stay on their path, guidance comes. And then let your hands open. There's a little ledger you can look through. And drop your left hand down. Your right hand. So to the top of your head you flutter. Imagine the wind stirring. Releasing. Stop, and then we switch. So then the right arm drops, left hand comes up. Look over your right shoulder, really good. Just flutter, release, let go. Moving in fog, clouds, uncertainty. And then place your right hand over your left. Allow the energy to come down. Rest in the Dansen for a moment. And then come up the right side of your abdomen and then down the left. This one can be done for a long time. The heart becomes clear like water, so the heart also means center. Connecting the heart-kidney axis. Feel your feet, the bubbling well, and spiraling energy. Nice. Slowly let it come back to the center. Let's hold the Dansen. We'll close with this ceremony that we started with. So your hands come out in front. You blow into your palms. Right hand, earth hand drops to the Dansen, left hand to the left hand. So the three hearts, the light from heaven, the sky, love that exists within humanity, and the vitality and life of the living earth. All three are within us. Left hand drops. Let's touch. Shake your heels. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Really great about to share. If there's any questions, comments, thoughts?
I just think it was great. Peter Diadon was my dad. And so actually it's interesting, like we have fibrosis in our family. And so we've been collectively meditating on stuckness and kind of how we move forward. And so I found in like looking to the east and then to the west was this like gorgeous experience for me because I got to connect with like my future, which has had some fear in it.
Oh, thank you. I had no idea. It's amazing.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing this piece to this conference when there's so much left brain stuff going. I really appreciate going in there and also acknowledging that part of my work that I do every day that sometimes I don't give enough credit to. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. I know you've held that for a lot of people, so I appreciate that I can remind you what you're giving to me.
grief and attachment piece really resonates with like the Buddhist traditions too, right? Because we create our own suffering through attachments and expectations. So if you're not available to let go of that attachment, how can you process your grief?
Yeah, there's a lot of good books, there's a lot of information. Grief in the Body came out, it talks about attachment. I feel like attachment's a big deal. I didn't realize it can be such a big part of my practice, in my life. It's how we deal with those breaking and forming of attachments. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.